Welcome into Blake Street Ball. I am Tanner Schwint. Thanks for joining us again. The guys are back, and we've got some decorations for you here, obviously. Welcome back, guys. We're talking Rockies starting pitching today. Luke Mullins, Ben Shoemate joining me as always. This is Blake Street Ball. Like I mentioned, the Rockies are full of young talent, full of young potential, and this is probably the area that they are going to be the most loaded in for the years to come. You've got Kyle Freeland, you've got German Marquez, Antonio Senzatella has shown great promise. And then if John Gray can get his head put on straight, he's got more potential probably than the rest of them, which is hard to say with how good Kyle Freeland has been. But let's start with Ben first. Ben, this starting lineup, there's starting rotation, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to go deep into games, especially after losing Ottavino.
Yeah, and them being able to show that stamina to go late in the games, they do still have Scott Oberg and then Wade Davis. So you got your 8-9 guy, and then they're still kind of feeling out who's going to be that kind of in that 6-7 spot. They do still have Chris Russin around. Thankfully, he'll take some of that weight off. But yeah, there's going to be looking to the bullpen, and obviously a lot of pressure is going to be on the starting rotation to go deep into games, which I think will be very important for that team. And I think the likes of Kyle Freeland, German Marquez, they've shown that they can do that, especially other people, maybe not really those power pitchers, but like Chad Bettis, he can do that too. And I think the Rockies are deep enough in that area that they can have enough long relievers. Like even if Peter Lambert's not in the starting rotation, maybe having him be a long reliever at some point in the season, maybe not right off the bat. But I also think they're going to be looking for young guys in the system to potentially fill those like 5th inning, 6th inning if they need to be played there sort of guys. And that's what I'm looking forward to see who they call on. I think Justin, what was his name?
Justin Lawrence.
Justin Lawrence, I think he's my favorite of the two. He's throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball with an 82-mile-an-hour changeup and a 96-mile-an-hour slider. Struck out 62 people in 55 innings in advanced A-ball. If he can show that sort of promise at the higher level like he did today, didn't give up a hit in the game he pitched today, I think people like that could be stepping up into that role too.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll talk to Luke real quick. Before I want to ask a couple of questions about Kyle Freeland, but before we get there, what's your prediction? I mean, what is the starting rotation going to look like? Who's going to be that 5th? Is John Gray going to be in there? Is he going to be? He could be a guy that could go in the middle reliever position as well. But what's your starting rotation look like?
John Gray will be in there. I mean, you can look at it. There's the potential that, let's say, halfway through the season, he's struggling like he did last year. Maybe they'll try and play with it. But to start the year, for a few months, without doubt, he's going to be in there. And I think he will bounce back this year. For me, the first 4 are set pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have Kyle Freeland, you're going to have German Marquez, you're going to have John Gray, you're going to have Tyler Anderson. After that, the 5th spot is up in the air. You've got guys like Chad Bettis who have been around for a while. We saw him a couple years ago. In the second half, he was lights out. He was the best pitcher we had.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's really kind of been inconsistent for the Rockies. You never really know what you're going to get from him. Antonio Senzatella is a guy who's young, a guy who has a lot of talent, a guy who's going to be around for a while, and a guy who's probably going to be pretty good. We've seen some
glimpses.
We've seen some glimpses of greatness from Senzatella. We've seen one thing I really like about him is he doesn't crack under pressure. You know, you see him.
That's important for Rockies pitchers.
Yeah, you see he gets guys on base, and he's able to work out of those situations. He's really strong on that end. The third guy who's in competition for that spot is Peter Lambert. He's a guy that casual Rockies fans might not know the name as well, but if you've been paying attention to this team, if you've been paying attention to the prospects, he's the team's number 3 prospect, number 1 pitching prospect. He's a guy who's got great strikeout ability. He's got a lot of control. He's another guy who, like Senzatella, who's very calm. He's got the right head on him. So look for him to possibly break in there too. It's going to be a strong rotation, it looks like.
Yeah, we'll find out what they end up mixing and matching. You know, this is one area that I've got a lot of trust in Bud Black. I mean, he's proven that he can advance these pitchers and find the right rotation. Want to talk about the number 1 guy, and Kyle Freeland. I think that this is where a lot of the Rockies fan base went wrong with John Gray. We wanted an ace so freaking bad that we labeled John Gray as an ace, and it went straight to his head. Is it too soon to call Kyle Freeland an ace after the tremendous year that he had last year?
I think the biggest problem with that might be, and no disrespect to Freeland, he's a great pitcher who's got a lot of ability, but I think that if you talk to a lot of people in and around the organization, they're going to say that German Marquez actually has the better stuff.
Really?
Especially now that he's mixing in things like a improved slider into his rotation. It's not necessarily that Kyle Freeland's going to have a poor season this year. It's that German Marquez could possibly have an even better season. So we'll see.
If that happens, the Rockies are going to win a lot of games this year.
I think that they could. I mean, you look at the second half he had last year. You look at his September. He was as good of a pitcher. You put him out there up against anyone.
Yeah.
He's as
And
good
you
of
had
a
a
pitcher as he
shot.
was in the National League.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ben, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily saying the ace rule went to John Gray's head is quite accurate. I think he did struggle with some stuff. I don't know if it was necessarily mental, physical, whatnot. He's come to camp this year in better shape. He's been pitching well. He's been throwing well. But honestly, in between Kyle Freeland and German Marquez, a lot of people, especially not in the Rockies organization, have been labeling German Marquez as that better pitcher. And they've given him a better projected WAR this season than Kyle Freeland. They've been giving a lot better stuff. German Marquez has said his goal this season is to win the Cy Young. That's what he wants, which, I mean, any pitcher, that should probably be your goal. But realistically, he thinks he has a chance to do that. And I think that mentality, if he thinks he's going to go out there and compete every day and have a chance to win it and be a Colorado pitcher that wins the Cy Young, then by all means, let him run with it.
Yeah, the mentality is great and the potential is great, but I like to look at what we've seen. And last year, there was no doubt who the best pitcher on the Rockies staff was. It was Kyle Freeland. So for people that are saying it could be German Marquez, that's great. It could be. But as of right now, in my opinion, Kyle Freeland's the guy that you've got to go to.
Yeah.
And with John Gray, the reason that I point to saying it was maybe more mental than physical, you saw what happened when he dropped down a couple of levels. He's striking people out. He's right there. And when it was games that didn't matter, he had his stuff. It was those big-time moments that John Gray had those faults. So that's where I want to see what he can do this year and maybe bounce back a little bit.
Yeah, but that's where a guy like Bud Black comes in, a guy who's been on that mound, the guy who knows what those situations are like.
He's going to have to.
He's the right guy to be in there for, not just for this season, but we've got him locked down for a couple more seasons to continue to develop these pitchers and work with guys like John Gray.
I was actually pretty shocked to see John Gray back in Colorado after what the season ended up being. I mean, when you go in as you're the number one guy and then by the end you're being a reliever coming in, you're down back to AAA, that's a tough thing to bounce back from. But if anybody can do it, it'll be Bud Black and the John Gray combination.
Hey guys, Ben Shumate from Blake Street Ball. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, what is wrong with you? I've been trying to figure out, and there is something morally and ethically wrong with you. So to fix that problem, subscribe right here. There is a link. Also, if you want to catch more on our terrible thoughts about the Rockies, there's a video here and here. You can watch those and comment below on how wrong we are. Yeah, if you're a Dodgers fan, we will be praying for you. So we will see you next time here on Blake Street Ball.